Okay, so our discussion for today initially would be Python interpreter. Okay, right. So whenever we write Python programs, who executes that program? Python interpreter executes the program, right? So Python interpreter, okay, executes the Python programs, right? So whenever you write basically Python programs, you need an interpreter, okay? And when you install Python, on your system, okay, interpreter is also part of installation, okay, right? So what will Python interpreter do, right? So Python interpreter will read your program and execute. That's a basic or a easier way to look at that, okay? So let me write a very simple Python program, very simple Python program, okay? Print hello Python, that's it. This is my Python program, okay, right? Let's create a simple program called as, okay, the file should be called as, okay, hello.py, hello.py, okay, right? Okay, so let me write a very simple program, okay, which is called as hello.py, okay. So for that I don't even need any stuff, I can write it in Notepad, okay. Print hello, and then I am saving this as, okay, let me go into my C drive, okay. I have a folder called as stems, and in this stems let me create a folder called as Python, and in that let me save this with a file which is called as hello.py, okay. So this is your program, and now you want to execute this program, right? So when you want to execute this program, Python should be installed on your machine, and on my machine Python is installed, on my machine Python is installed, right? So what I would basically do is, okay, right, open terminal on your system, okay. On Windows system you can use a command prompt or a DOS prompt. If you are using Mac, open a Mac terminal. If you are using a Linux, use a Linux terminal, right? So I have basically opened this, okay. I'm using PowerShell, and the folder is C drive dumps, okay. In this I have a folder called as Python, right? Now I'll execute this program called as Python hello.py, okay. Whenever I try to execute this, this is the point when your interpretation starts, and interpreter tries to tell you that you have asked me to print hello. I have print hello, and the program is done, okay. So what has actually happened over here? What has actually happened over here, okay? Let us try to understand that, okay. Don't worry about the program, you and me will learn how the program how we will write the programs and all of that stuff, okay. So to understand how this program has executed, man, oh, I think I've stored it in the wrong directory. Let me correct that. Okay, so Python 7, okay, right. So I'm using PowerShell, okay. So /images slash python 7.png. Okay, so to understand how this program executed, okay, let's look at two views. The first view, which I'll call it as programmer's view, that is your view. Okay, right. So our program consists of, okay, a print statement. Okay, our program simply consists of print statement. Okay, but when you write print, what should happen? When you write print, what should happen? Right, that might have been defined by Python, right? That might have been defined by Python. Now, okay, interpreter will find, okay, where the print is defined and execute it. So when we run our programs, okay, it appears as if Python is interpreting. Okay, so this is the programmer's view, right? So let me quickly try to add this stuff. Okay, right. Okay, so this is programmer's view of the stuff is, okay, Python will interpret my program, right? So this is what program it looks to the programmer. Okay, good. Now let's try to look at Python's view of it. Okay, okay, for your Python, if you look at Python view, right, what Python will try to do is, okay, I will read the program, okay, and then compile the program, and then compile the program into bytecode. Okay, this bytecode is executed by Python interpreter. Am I clear on this? So the Python's view is different, and for the developer it looks as if it is different. It is not necessary that you need to know this. Okay, so basically what happens in Python in reality is there is a compiling also happening. Right? So if you look at the developer's view, it would not appear as if there is some compilation happening. But if you look at the Python's view, okay, program is read and then compiled to bytecode. This bytecode is executed by Python interpreter. Okay, so this is basically what is happening. Okay, so is Python an interpreter? Yeah, it looks as if it is an interpreter. Okay, but actually there is a compilation also that happens. There is a compilation also that happens. Okay, so generally, okay, bytecode compilation. Okay, right. So generally your bytecode of your programs okay, end with .pyc extension. Okay, so prior to Python 3.2, right, we used to see this bytecodes straight away. We used to see this bytecode straight away. But now what Python has done is Python is not showing you this compiled files because it is not necessary, right? But what Python does is it will try to compile and then it will try to do the stuff. But when it will compile, okay, it will compile whenever source code changes. It would compile whenever, okay, there is change in the modules. Don't worry about this term called as modules at this moment. I will try to define what that modules is at a later point of time. Okay, now the Python, okay, right, is bytecode is executed by Python virtual machine, JVM. You need not know all of this, but right, this is basically what happens. Okay, so now if I want to logically draw the image, right, what basically is happening is, okay, let me try to file. No, let me create one more paint. I don't want to lose this stuff, right? So let us assume that you have written a file. Okay, file icon. Okay, yeah, this is more than enough. Okay, so you have written a file, and this file is something which we are basically calling as hello.py, and this is your source code. This is your source code. Now, whenever you run this source code, basically what happens is, okay, this source code gets compiled, okay, and then you might have a file which might be generated internally, which is called as hello.pyc, and this is something which we call as bytecode. Okay, and now this bytecode is executed by your, okay, runtime. This bytecode is executed by your runtime, all right, and this runtime is something which we basically call as PVM, Python. Let me write it as Python virtual machine. Am I clear on this? Okay, so this is basically what is happening internal. Okay, now let me add this. Okay, so now your interpreter, Python interpreter, needs to have, okay, a program which converts your code into bytecode and then a runtime and then a runtime. Okay, now let me enable questions. Are we clear so far, sir? I have enabled questions. Okay, so what would Python look like? As if it is one program doing all the stuff for us. There is an interpreter which runs our code. But internally, what is happening? Python will read your code, convert that into a bytecode, and that bytecode gets executed by a Python virtual machine. JVM is for Java virtual machine, sir. It is not the stuff, right? Now, yeah, I have written JVM, is it? Oh, sorry, PVM. Okay, sorry, my bad. Okay, right. So bytecode is an intermediary language that Python will understand. Okay, right? Am I clear on this stuff? Now, basically, when I say Python interpreter, now we need to understand what is the Python interpreter which you and me are going to use. So here we need to understand that there are many implementations of Python. Okay, so Python implementations, right? So Python is a open source product, right? So you you and me can go into the code and try to contribute. If the open source community tries to, it likes our change, it will try to take it. It will try to take it. Okay. Every interpreter does line by line, sir. Debashish, that is very simple. It is line by line. Okay. Fine. Now, Python is an open source, and Python has, okay, various implementations, right? So there are various implementations of Python. Okay. So, but let us look at 4 popular implementations of Python. Okay. So, but let it be any implementation, the code which you write is same. Okay. 4 popular implementations which are production ready. Okay. The first implementation is, okay, let me write all of them. The first implementation is CPython, and the second implementation is Jython. The third implementation is IronPython. Okay, and the fourth implementation is PyPy. Okay, so these implementations deal with how to generate bytecode and how to, okay, run PVM. Am I clear on this? So as a developer, your code for Python will not change from implementation. Will not change per implementations. Okay, right. So are we clear on this, sir? Let it be any implementation, your code, whatever you have written, is same. Now, what is CPython? Okay, all of this course will be working with CPython itself, right? So let us try to look at what this CPython is. Okay, so it is also referred as, okay, classic Python. Okay, and it is most up to date and widely used flavor of Python. Okay, so what is CPython then, right? So CPython means that whatever Python code which you have written, written, okay, all of this, okay, CPython, okay, right, is a compiler, interpreter, interpreter and set of built-in and optional extensions, and all of this is implemented in, okay, all of this is implemented in language C. Okay, so remember we have what is that? Whenever you run a Python program that needs to be executed, okay, your code needs to be converted into bytecode, and bytecode, after bytecode has been finished, then that needs to be executed, right? So these two things are implemented in C language, that is C Python. Am I clear on this? So whenever you are using Python, internally C language is coming into play. Okay, but you and me never need to worry about it. Okay, and then there is one more stuff which is called as Jython. Now I think you can make out what this is. Okay, so what could be Jython? Jython is Python implementation for any Java virtual machine. Okay, so whenever you write Python code, then that Python code gets converted into Java bytecode. So Python code gets converted into Java bytecode, and then it's executed using JDK, Java Development Kit. Okay, very rarely people use that. Okay, now let me speak about the third flavor, which is Iron Python. Okay, so Iron Python is Python implementation, okay, for any .NET framework. Okay, so in this case, what happens is Python code gets converted into MSIL. MSIL stands for Microsoft Intermediate Language. Okay, and gets executed using .NET framework. So are you getting the idea of this? Okay, so it uses the .NET CLR. Okay, so I'm not getting into the stuff, right? So now the last implementation is, okay, PyPy. Okay, so PyPy is, right, the subset of Python is coded in Python itself. In Python itself. So basically your bytecode conversion and then executing the Python program is implemented in Python itself. That is basically what it is, right? So since it is basically open source, there are some other implementations also, right? Let us look at other implementations. Okay, other implementations. So whenever you look at Python, there are many implementations, many variables, right? So there is one implementation which is called as PyGeon. Okay, so PyGeon is open source project from Microsoft, whose primary goal is to add API to CPython. Okay, right. And then there is something called as MicroPython. Let me not write it, but let me write this one: Anaconda and Miniconda. Right? So what Anaconda and Miniconda is? This is Python distribution. Okay, this is a Python which you can install on your machine, and basically, okay, it comes from a company, right, called as Continuum Analytics. Okay, so along with Python standard library, okay, Anaconda adds some interesting, okay, libraries, okay, and they have a packaging technology. They have a packaging technology which they call as Conda. Okay, right? So a simple implementation of that is basically called as mini Conda, right? So, but the whole point is in Anaconda also you have Python, but in addition to that, what Anaconda or a Continuum Analytics tries to give you is it will try to give you a lot of Python libraries to make your life simple. Okay, and then there is one more implementation which is called as Nutica. Okay, so what it does is converts your Python code into C++. Okay, there is one more thing which is called as Grumpy. Okay, so Grumpy, what it would do is it will convert your Python code, okay, into another language, okay, called as Go. Go is a language which is basically Google's open source language, right? There is something called as transcript which basically converts Python into JavaScript, right? There are many things, but as I said, right, note, okay, in this course we will be using standard Python, which is C Python. Am I clear on this? Okay, so there are many implementations of Python. Okay, don't worry about the terms which I've used like API, module, and all of that stuff. Okay, but if you understand, these many things are happening in the background, but generally people are not aware of all of this, right? Okay, but there are many implementations. Even you can start one implementation of Python. Okay, you can have your own interpreter. Yeah, right. This is all fun, sir. These are interesting facts, right? Okay, right. Now, basically what we would try to do is, let us try to understand, okay, how this Python basically adds new features. Okay, Python is an open source community, right? So how does Python adds new features, and after I speak about that, I'll show you how to install Python. Okay, so let me open an interesting website over here which is called as Python Software Foundation. Sorry, Singh. Okay, so Python development. So this is not you and me developing. This is how Python is developed. Okay, and versions, right? So Python, okay, intellectual property, okay, or whatever code which it is vested in, okay, something called as Python Software Foundation. So this Python Software Foundation, in this Python Software Foundation is basically a non-profit whose goal is, it is written over here, right? The mission of Python software is to promote, protect, and advance the Python programming language to support and facilitate growth of, okay, diverse and international community. This is what they are trying to do. Okay, and now what Python tries to, this foundation tries to do is, this foundation tries to ensure that whoever is basically contributing to Python's code, there are some of the very strict rules which they follow. Okay, and while writing Python also, while using Python also, we will have some of the things which we need to worry about. Okay, so all the changes in Python, okay, right, all the changes in Python, okay, or let me call it as this, all the proposed changes in Python. So if you want to ask for a new change in Python, okay, you can do that. Proposed changes in Python are detailed as Python enhancement proposals. These are called as PEPs. Okay, these are called as PEPs. Now, where is PEP? Okay, so Python PEP. Sorry, Singh, this is where the whole PEPs are available. So if you go into this, these are all the features which people have asked for, okay, right. Okay, so any change in Python is basically strictly monitored using this Python and enhancement proposal. Are you seeing this? Okay, so someone is asking, make Python launcher aware of virtual environments. Okay, so if you go on to the top, someone is asking define stable API. Okay, the bytes object, right? Everyone whoever asked for the features of Python, we need to, all of them will be documented over here, and then this community will decide whether we need to whether they need to implement that feature or not. Okay, but right, there are some informational PEPs. Okay, this is where I am coming from. Informational PEPs for developers who use Python, that is you and me. Okay, the first one is something which I call as Zen of Python. It is not what I call, this is what the Python calls it. Okay, so if you look at Zen of Python, this is what Zen of Python is. Okay, so this Zen of Python is very strict rules. So what Python community is trying to tell you is, beautiful is better than ugly, explicit is better than implicit, simple is better than complex, complex is better than complicated. And whenever you are trying to write code, we have to ensure that all of these principles are basically followed. Am I clear on this? When we write code, we have to implement Zen. Okay, so if you want to understand what a Zen is, okay, let me basically click on Zen and let me click on image. Are we clear? So it is like accepting a religion. Okay, go into your definitions of Zen. Okay, so this is like you basically following the Python as a religion now. Okay, let me use this. This is looking better, right? Copy image address. Man, this much big image. God, it is better that I download that image, right? So save image as. Okay, when did I show Ritik? Okay, I didn't knew that. Okay, right. So copy path and let me go over here. Okay, and yeah, it's okay. Let it be JPEG. It doesn't matter. Okay, right. So Python 11 dot JPEG or Python 11 dot JPG. Okay, right. Dot slash images slash Python 11 dot JPG. Right. Let us see if that preview is coming up or not. Good. So am I clear on this? Zen of Python. And there is one more interesting proposal over here. Okay, so these two proposals we have to be, it is like accepting a religion now. Okay, So whenever you are trying to basically work on Python, we have to be very careful about these two peps. One is style guide. Whenever we write Python, we are committing that we will be using the style guide. Okay. Later on, I'll implement one. I will basically show you one more style guide which is better than this. Okay. But for now, okay, right? So these two enhancement proposals, they will try to tell you how to write it. So for example, here it will try to tell you how to write a Python code. What is good, what is the correct way, what is the wrong way. Okay. There is no need for you to worry about it. But when we learn Python, and whenever you are writing Python, we should follow these practices. Am I clear on this? Right, sir? Okay. So any new feature that comes into Python, that means that there will be a Python enhancement proposal. Am I clear on that term? Okay. And Python Software Foundation. Python Software Foundation basically manages Python's requirements. Now, let us look at installing Python. Installing Python is a very simple stuff, man. Right? So, I think there is a YouTube video already on that, but yeah. So I'll quickly show you how to do that. Okay. So Python installation. So are you seeing downloads? Okay. So if you are working on Windows, download the Windows version. If you are working on Mac, use the Mac version, right? If you are working on Linux, use the Mac Linux version. Download this. Okay. And once you download this, click on open. Okay. Are you seeing it is asking me upgrade now? Okay. I can upgrade it, but I'll not do that. Okay. So you can click on this and then do next until it says finished. Okay. Can't you do this? Okay. So if you go to Linux installations, right? Okay. So in most of the Linux installations, Python is already present. Okay. If it is not present, okay, what we can do is you can download the Linux version from here. Just now in the Linux class, I have shown how to download the files, untar the files, add it to the path variables. Do that. Okay. If it is Mac, okay. So basically in the Mac, what you can do is Windows. Okay. If it is Windows, right? So what will you do? Right? Download installer from here. Okay. I would recommend you watching that video in where I have discussed everything. Okay. And install, much like how I have installed Google browser or whatever it is. Mac users, install Homebrew and use Homebrew to install Python. There is already a documentation or stuff. Okay. Linux. Okay. So there are many ways of installing Linux. Okay. I'm basically referring to the classic way. Okay. Download tar file. Okay. Untar the file. Add the folder to the path. Okay. So for the people who are attending my Linux classes, you can do that. If you are a little bit experienced, from apt and yum also you can install Python. From apt and yum also you can install Python. Okay. So you can do something like sudo apt-get install Python 3-y. Okay. Now this is my Linux machine. Okay. Now it says Python 3 -- version. So I got Python 3. Yeah. So you can basically do that. But most of the Linux installations already have Python. Okay. Sir, please look at the video. Chocolatey is very simple. Choco install Python. So for the people who know about Chocolatey, oh, you can already do this, right? Choco Python. Okay. Is there any particular condition for to use those implementations? No, right? There is no particular conditions. Most of the organizations use C Python. Okay, if your company is using something else, then try to find it out from there. Okay, so for the people who know Chocolatey, for installing softwares into Windows, you can do this. You can do this. For example, it is 3.8.1. So for me, I'm not thinking about any upgrade. Okay, but if you want to go with the latest version of Python, okay, so if you see latest version is 3.9.0. Okay, so then you can basically go with this. Okay, okay, right, sir. So I'll stop it at that, and we will continue our next session.
Thanks for watching. For more videos, subscribe our channel and click on bell icon.